Hello, everyone. Hope you are enjoying your new year. I am back again with a new topic today. Well, the topic is still quite interesting. It's around monetization of generative AI content. Last year, we saw plethora of articles regarding companies leveraging generative AI to build new kind of content, be it art, be it music, be it video, be it articles. More recently, we have seen that New York Times, a leading newspaper publisher, has basically sued both OpenAI and Microsoft, claiming that they have infringed on the copyrighted content that they have. They have trained several models use for ChatGPT, and basically, New York Times has not been compensated. So this has actually opened a big can of worms, and from the last year onwards, this was there in my mind that something has to be devised regarding the monetization of the content on which these large language models are being trained. So, I mean, if you look at from a technical perspective, even search engines actually crawl the entire web, and they basically indexed all the information into a search index. And if people search for that data, they spit out those links, and people can go and click on those links and read the articles or data or check those movies or videos, etc. So in one sense, even Google basically goes and crawls the data throughout the internet, and it would include all kind of articles, New York Times, or any kind of other web publishers that are there, right? So why those companies allow Google to basically crawl the data? So I think when Google does that or any other search company crawls the data, they use certain identifiers that tells like who the crawler is or who it represents. And under a fair use policies, those individual companies can actually block certain crawlers or they can allow them. So I think Google crawls the data that is public, and if Google is denied the crawling, then they don't do it. Similarly, all other search engines do it. And if you think it one way, right, search is such that if you don't crawl the data on search, then people will most likely not be able to find your articles or will not search for you unless they directly know the website URL and they click on that and then go to your website. Also, once Google sends the search data to your website, it's like a new channel through which you get traffic on your website. So people may come through Google, but they're still coming to your website landing page, and then you can monetize them there. So people are okay about Google, and maybe when Google was starting out and they were collecting the data, storing it into an index, and when search engines were coming up, there were similar kind of considerations that why they are crawling my data, why an index is being made, etc. So I think we are way past that. Search has been a robust technology. It has been in existence for over now 10 to 15 years, and we are all used to using search maybe pretty on a regular basis. And I am just saying 10 to 15 years. This is my bad. It is actually over 20 years now. Actually, search has been there, and people have been regularly using it. So it's more like 20 to 25 years search has been in existence, and it is very well understood use case. Now let's fast forward it to generative AI. So we have discussed in other videos as well. You can check out my podcast around OpenAI, LLMs, and generative AI. There are a bunch of them actually. Last year we covered them. That the large language models, they are trained on the open data that is available on the internet, be it videos, audios, files, etc. Right? That's how the large language models are built. Now the problem is that all this data is owned by original content owners, right? So like in this case, New York Times are like paying journalists to go and build articles or cover certain news items, etc., and then publish them. Perhaps many of these websites are nowadays subscription and advertising based. Whenever a person goes to these websites, you have to pay for viewing their content. and other times they also have advertising systems that are used to make money from these websites, right? Now, essentially, these are the original content owners, like anyone who runs a website, anyone who has a video published or audio published, etc. So it could be music labels, it could be movie labels, it could be, a basic animation or art, anything that is there available on the web to be searched, publicly available, right? So these are the original content owners. Now, what a LLM or a like a application such as Chat GPT does is it provides you a tool or a platform which is actually trained on this publicly available data, and now you can use it through prompting to create a new kind of content, which is what the generative thing is. Now, there is a role that the platform or the tool is playing by helping you create new kind of content, of course, based upon your programming, and in this case, it would be prompting. So there is a role that the platform is also playing. Like if you are not using the platform or the tools such as copilots and chat gpts and things along those lines, then you would have self-crafted the new content, which would have taken much more time, or it would have been much more difficult, or you would have to do a lot of research. But using tools such as chat gpt, you are able to rather craft your new content rather quickly in the matter of few minutes, if not more. So there is a role that platform also plays, right? And finally, it is you, the consumer, who is generating a new content using these platforms. So if the idea wouldn't have come to the new user, like as to how they are going to leverage the platform, what kind of prompts, if any, they are going to basically input in the command for the platform so as to generate the new content. And once the new content is generated, how are they going to distribute it? Is it over YouTube? Is it over the general internet? Are they going to put it on their own website or in an app? It depends upon them, right? So there are three parties if you see primarily here. So one is the original content owner, the owner who published their articles or videos or audios, etc., on the internet. Second is the platform itself, which is the tooling, which is basically your chat gpt, your large language models, and other kind of platforms that offer you such kind of models. And last but not the least is the consumer, the person who is using the large language models or this chat gpt or other kind of tools that exist in the generative ai space to generate a new kind of content. Now, I think from a legal perspective, there is a immense opportunity for a startup or even a regulation that can come in that talks about these three parties, that whenever a new content is being generated and if it gets monetized, now whatever that monetization may be, maybe there is a subscription to this new content, maybe there are advertisement around this new content, however way, shape, or form this new content is monetized, there has to be a three-way revenue split. So the original content owner on which the training happened should get some portion of it. The platform which is helping you create the new content in the first place should get some portion of it, and the consumer, the person who is prompting to generate this new content, should also get benefit out of it, right? I don't know exactly how this three-way split will happen, but I think once we determine like how this three-way split will happen, all these parties who are suing each other and like creating a lot of ruckus in the overall development of generative AI will actually go boil down. So at the end of the day, we are in a capitalist society, and everyone basically is seeking money. And as long as they are ensured that they will make money no matter what, and it is not only the generative ai platforms, which is such as chat gpt or other llm players, are the ones who are only going to make money, and also the end users who are generating the new content and using it for their own benefit, they are the only one who are going to get benefited. So if we determine a way to do a three blade revenue split, maybe the end user who is the consumer of this platform maybe takes 50% of the split, maybe the platform takes maybe 30% of the overall revenue, and maybe the original content owner takes 20% of the revenue. This could be one of the ways. It could be similar to like how publishing labels give royalties to the author of a book, or a composer of a music video, or a director of a or a story writer of a movie, right? They get royalties based upon whenever they publish a good content, right? So maybe the original author in this case can also get a royalty, maybe 5% of it, maybe 10% of it. The platform which allows you to build such kind of content also get maybe 20% royalty, or maybe 10% of it. And the end user, who is the basically person who is using the prompts to generate such kind of content, takes in maybe 80% of it, or maybe 70% of it. So I think those are some of the mechanisms in which I think this ecosystem will evolve. Right now, there is a lot of flux because people are still getting used to the fact, like what generative AI can be really used for. If there is actual business use case in which it can really be monetized. Right now, there are a lot of doubts also whether we have any specific business use case where generative AI tools can really create a business value. And until that happens, you cannot basically monetize the generative AI based content. And unless you really monetize any of this content, there is no way or mechanism to do a three-way revenue split between the original content owner, platform, and the content consumer. So I think it remains to be seen if bodies, ecosystem, and industries people come together and formulate a regulation, or I think it would be up to government bodies to come out with a regulation. Maybe we'll have to see how this court case basically uh, you know moves forward. Who wins in this case? I think a lot of people will have to do a lot of reading because it's such a new area, and it has opened like a can of worms for everyone. But I think over a period of time, it will end up in basically some way, shape, or form of designing a mechanism by which whenever the generative AI content gets monetized, revenue share basically across these three parties is determined. Once I think this revenue share is determined between the owner, the platform, and the consumer, I think this debate will be put to rest. Until that time, we will see much more such cases. Today it is NYT, tomorrow it could be Washington Post, or maybe some other music company, or some other Hollywood movie. Anyone can basically start, putting lawsuits in this regards. But I think overall, these lawsuits will not sustain, or maybe who knows, maybe they will have to settle. But there was a recent report also from Sam and Altman and OpenAI that if such kind of restrictions are being made on large language models and generative AI in general, then advances in generative AI will be basically curtailed. Because if they cannot train on the publicly available data, then what are they going to build their knowledge base upon? We have not found any technique where with a very limited or a very small amount of data, a model can be trained which can start generating content. So far, to till date today, all these models are based upon publicly available information, billions and billions of parameter. And current state of art is the more data that you get, the more variety of data that you have, the better model you can make. So until that time, we find some other alternative mechanisms to train these models. So far, people will continue to focus upon what is already out there on the internet, train their models based upon that, and build generative AI models. So just to summarize that, I think we have a long way to go. We may see more kind of lawsuits by different publishers, be it video content publishers, be it audio content, be it paintings, art, craft, and maybe several of these articles or news agencies that are publishing such kind of articles. They can start suing like various platforms who are generating LLMs, or who are using generative AI. And I think unless there is a regulation in this space, or industries bodies basically collaborate together to basically come out with this monetization mechanisms, we'll continue to see these things play out in the next few months this year. So I think the start of 2024 is starting on a interesting note, that we already saw basically lawsuit that has already been filed. I'm expecting more such lawsuits will be filed across multiple states and in multiple countries, not only limited to the US. So we'll wait and watch, and we'll see how this progresses. But I wanted to share a suggestion of how to solve for this, and that's what I have done in this podcast today. Do let me know if you like this podcast. Please feel free to share it, like it, and subscribe to this channel. And do write and let me know what kind of things that you would like to listen further. Are there any topics that you are really interested in? We'd like to cover them. Hopefully you are having a great time. Spend time with your family. It's a new year. Hopefully it is going to bring new prosperity and joy to you and your family and your life. And take care of yourself. Continue to enjoy life and spend time with your family and friends. Hopefully we get a chance to interact again. Please do share, subscribe, and do let me know, are there topics that you are interested in, and we'll come back with a new episode sometime soon.